Welcome to Coffee with Kohi. In today's pot, I know Pelco, but I don't know Pelco. Joining me today is Mr. Kurt Takahashi. Kurt is a 25-year security veteran, a Cal State Long Beach alum, hopefully soon to be Clemson Tiger fan, and now the CEO of Pelco. Kurt, welcome to the pod, sir.
How you doing, Mark? Well, you almost got all of those right.
Yeah, we're going to get you turned over. Is your daughter went to Ohio State, is that correct?
He currently goes to Ohio State, so yes, I got to say that I am a Buckeye fan.
Yeah, well, once she's out, that loyalty goes away. So once you stop spending checks.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's jump right into it. I feel like the topic of this one is so fitting. I know Pelco, but I don't know Pelco. Pelco is such a big, well-known name in the security industry, but in the last, 3-4 years, it just hasn't been the Pelco of old. So who is Pelco?
Yeah.
I know, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Mark. When I first started thinking about the opportunity to come to Pelco, that was, probably the number one question people were asking me is to, from my close, advisor group that I talk to on a regular basis. And I think that was a concern for people to say, why are you going to do that when you're with such a great company now that's supported really well with a great leadership team. And so, I think, and I started in November, and I had a lot of meetings with some end users as well, some of our longtime customers, and there was a legitimate amount of uncertainty by them who were long loyal Pelco clients and supporters. And I think the big thing was just there's a lot of uncertainty about what's happening with Pelco, the acquisition from Transom, and then beyond the regular users of Pelco and the loyalists, the rest of the community was, God, we haven't really heard from Pelco in years. Like, we're not really sure what's going on over there. We haven't really seen anybody in years. In fact, if you asked me today, I wouldn't even know who to call, right? And so I think that to answer that question is, it's pretty simple. I mean, Pelco has been around for years, and it was the gold standard. Right, back in the day when Pelco was my number one partner as an integrator, they were the Nordstroms of the security industry. Right, customer service was it. They connected with the clients and partnered with the integrators in such a meaningful way that people were extremely loyal to the brand. And the good thing for Pelco is that brand, that name, still exists today, and people have fond memories of it. It's just over the years it's lost its relevance, it's lost its way. People just really didn't hear from anybody in a number of years, and quite frankly, Pelco didn't really release a lot of new products over the time to really try to stay relevant in the market. And even though there was a lot of work going on in the background, it wasn't really apparent in the industry and in the market. And as I talked to the different regions around the world, that's a pretty accurate statement from everywhere in the world. Now, we still do quite a bit of business all over the world, but still there's a lot of people, a lot of influencers out there who are just not familiar with us. And so what I would say today, one of the key compelling events that happened in our world is, the separation from Schneider, right? And that's been really good and in a lot of ways, both for us and for Schneider, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But really, the acquisition from Transom Capital, which is our private equity team, was a great event for us because it really allowed us the freedom to change and to reorganize the organization in such a way now that we were able to bring in some really, really good people. We're able to change our focus and really get laser focused on the things that are really critical, in my opinion, to bring Pelco back into relevance, number one, but also lead us into a new era that really, harnesses the richness of the culture of the past, and then allows us to take another big step forward to become a leader back into the market, in time. But right now we are highly focused on being customer focused, right? That is probably the number one thing where we really lost our way, where we didn't connect meaningfully with our end users. We weren't really present with our integrators. Our consulting community really didn't see a whole lot of us as well. And so, the number one thing that we're doing is taking a very aggressive and active role to connect directly with those people again, and rebuild that trust. And the number one way we're going to do that to start is with customer service, right? Bottom line, right? Be present, be responsive, do what you say you're going to do. It's really quite simple when you think about it, but it's not easy for everybody to always execute that. So really being a focused company on customer service, tech support, bringing the right products to market, but more importantly, just being really connected to everyone, because, like I said before, people just didn't know who to call anymore. People didn't have that tight relationship with anybody. And I think, immediately, those are some of the big things that we have to do just to rebuild our trust and show the world that we're a very stable company that can support anybody at any part of the world. And we already have the footprint, we have the scale, we have the resources. Now we just have to go back and really convince the rest of the industry that we're here. This is how we do things. And at the first sign of need, we're right there, and we're overperforming and exceeding the expectation.
Well, and in this time of uncertainty, you mentioned something that I want to just be crystal clear with everybody, because it's a question I get all the time regarding Pelco. Schneider. So Schneider is no longer involved with Pelco.
That is correct. So we're 100% standalone company owned by Transom Capital. One of the unique things is our relationship with Schneider is they're still a very big partner of ours, just like many others are. And we still resell our products through Pelco, through Schneider, just like we do JCI and Convergent and, the rest of the big nationals out in the industry. And, but no, we are a completely separate entity, and we operate with our own vision, mission, and values.
So did you come over in November of 2019? So when you came over, was that with the transition or just shortly after the transition?
Yeah, so the acquisition actually happened in May. So we're fast approaching our 1-year anniversary next month. And so they went out on a search shortly after that for a CEO. And I started November 1st.
So what was it about Pelco that said, okay, this is where I want to go? What was that potential or that underlying thing that you saw that said, man, Kurt, this is what you need to do. It's not where I'm currently at, because you had a great position and we're sitting good. So
yeah, it's a good question, because I wasn't looking, right? I had a phenomenal role at AMAG, working under John Kenning, who was my CEO at G4S. He's been my mentor for many years. He still is today. And we assembled a phenomenal team at AMAG, and we did some really meaningful, compelling things. We grew the business, a great deal. We were probably one of the fastest growing businesses within G4S over the several years. And so we were great. And we had a lot in front of us. And so when this opportunity came up, I originally wasn't interested in it. And then after a couple of conversations, and later I found out about that it was Pelco, I was somewhat surprised. And I don't know why I was surprised about it, because I was aware of the acquisition. But it made me think about like the past, because quite frankly, my brother worked for Pelco for many years. In fact, I helped him get a job working for Paul Klutz many years ago in their national account division, and he had a great career there. The second thing about it is that Pelco is based in Fresno, which is a huge, I have a huge family contingency in Fresno. Probably have like 100 family members that live in Fresno, Reedley, Dinuba, that whole Central Valley. And so Pelco's always been in conversation, for years, quite frankly. And once I met the board of directors at Transom Capital, I knew that this was something that I needed to do because, the opportunity to turn such a great brand around and rebuild it and grow it within the industry. Number one, the industry needs it. It's good for the industry. People want to see the brand come back. And then also, I felt like the opportunity to learn from, the depth and the creative and the intelligence from the board of directors at Transom, and just the way that they go about these turnarounds was very compelling to me. And so I kind of felt like, look, this is an ideal opportunity for me to take my talents and really try to figure out a way to transform and change. And that's something that I've always enjoyed doing all of my career and all of my different leadership roles is taking on that type of challenge. So it was one of those opportunities where, after a few conversations, it was like, wow, this could really happen. And it was like, I really want this to happen now, and so, but it was really difficult to say goodbye to my AMAG family and my G4S family, because I really enjoyed it there. I made some great friends that are still great friends today, but it was probably one of the most difficult professional decisions I've ever had to make.
So you mentioned the uncertainty that the customers ask you about. What are some other things that you see integrators and end users asking you about Pelco and how you and the management team are trying to bring Pelco back?
Yeah, so I think the number one question or concern I get is, you're like the fourth guy there. Schneider went through a number of different leaders within Pelco, all from different parts of the Schneider organization. And I think the biggest question today is like, okay, Kurt, now, you've got this great story, you got this great message, but what are you going to do, and how are you going to show people that it's different? And quite frankly, I think it's just you gotta show up, and you gotta show change, and you gotta get wins. And so, how do we show everybody, and even internally with the Pelco team, is we need to start showing progress and wins, and we've done that. We've reorganized many departments. We've brought in some really talented people. We've achieved a lot of great work in a very short period of time, which I think is starting to show people, look, we're just not here. These aren't just words on a piece of paper. We're executing things. And a great example to me as a major win is you guys, right? You guys and S3 coming on board, coming to Pelco to do something very compelling, because HWPco, you had a great deal, you had a good situation yourself, and that was compelling for us to show even our own organization that, look, people really do believe in this brand, and when we've got the right strategy, we've got the right vision, people will follow, people will jump on board as long as we can execute. And so we've made big investments in our tech support. We've reorganized and made investments in engineering. We've casted a new roadmap internally, and we've created a horizon model that really gives us some exciting things for the future. So that's really the number one thing, is just like, look, it's great. This all sounds good. Show me and start showing some results of that. And I think just by the nature of, our business, based on the people that are coming on board, and you're looking at some of the material things that we're changing in the organization that customers are starting to see, that's evidence that, look, this isn't just talk. We're actually, we're doing some meaningful things, and we're taking an aggressive action to change.
So we're coming up on 6 months that you've been at Pelco. What has been the most exciting thing for you in that first 6 months?
Yeah, so the first thing was that I was really excited about was the talent, right? So I came into this situation, really with a blank canvas and no expectations, right? Quite frankly, I wanted to kind of just come in with a blank slate and understand what do we do, and I see tremendous talent in this organization. The other thing that's super exciting is the scale. Right? We have employees in over 35 countries. I didn't have that at AMAG, right?
Wow.
So it immediately gives me massive scale to do things, right? Do things that I wasn't able to do before. And these are extremely talented people, right? And then, when I look at the technology was really good. The problem is people didn't really know about it. And so what's been really exciting to me is as I go out prior to COVID, and I'll speak about that in a second, the conversation that I'm having with the end users and the creativity that we're able to drive, and then the nimbleness and the thirst within Pelco to create solutions and really address customer issues, that's been super exciting to me because there's this fire within the people here at Pelco that they want to do something compelling and they're all in and they jump in at the first chance and opportunity to do something like that. And so one of the cool things that we did is we created an innovation committee amongst, specific team members from all over the world to come together and work collectively in an innovation structure that allows us to be creative and to think a lot bigger than we are today. And so that's already starting to bear fruit for us. I think the last thing that has been just hands down probably the most exciting thing. Now, I'm devastated by this pandemic and the effects it's had on so many of my personal friends and colleagues around the world in different industries and at home. But what it's shown me is the resiliency and fighting spirit that exists here within this organization. I've seen teams and people go over and above to try to assist one another and really come together and work so hard to ensure that our customers don't skip a beat. I've seen better collaboration and communication than I ever have, right? And so what it shows me is that under extreme adversity and when people go through these types of things, you either divide or you come together. And this organization, the Pelco community at large, man, they've really come together. And I'm so proud of all the different teams really working hard to work together and people coming up with creative ideas to say, hey, how about if we try this? And how about if we do that? And, let us help this group to try to achieve this. And the collaboration. And even though we don't get to work together in the building, it's almost as if we're sitting next to each other because everybody has just really stepped up. And that shows me the true spirit of the company.
It kind of reminds me of like football coaches. You can find talent everywhere, but it's that heart and fighting spirit that you just can't teach.
That's right.
And I tell you, the short time we've been with Pelco and just the week I got to spend in Fresno before the apocalypse happened with the coronavirus, it's contagious. It really is contagious. I haven't met a person there or spoken to a person on the phone that isn't excited to be there or just has that fire, that fighting, that spirit, and they're just excited about what's happening.
That's great.
That's incredible.
There's a lot of passion within this organization, and the fact that now that they get to do things that they otherwise weren't able to, and they could be creative and they could really think big. I think is a little bit uncomfortable for some people, and it's getting them, and those people are really growing fast because they're like, well, wait a minute, I can do that now, and they're empowered. So that's been really, really good. So I'm glad that you had a great experience.
Oh, it was fun. We just got to find better restaurants in Fresno. That's all.
Hey, there's some really good ones. You just got to take it to the right ones.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So speaking of the COVID-19 crisis that's happening right now, how has that changed you guys? I know, hey, we're not going out and shaking hands, and everybody's doing more video conferencing and that kind of thing. How is that changing things for you guys? Is it still business as usual from a manufacturing standpoint and from a shipping standpoint? How has things changed at Pelco with this pandemic that's going on?
Yeah, so surprisingly, I think we were doing some really good things and making some really strong strategic decisions, a long time ago, right? Right after the acquisition, and I think that those decisions where we don't really do anything in China. I mean, I think I think the statistic is less than 5% of even our components are sourced in China, right? And so those are small components, and we don't do any of our manufacturing there. So over the last 9 months and prior to that, in preparation to the acquisition, a lot of work was done in preparation of demand planning, supply chain, ensuring that we were doing all the right things. And so as this event occurred, it really tested our continuity plan, because the reality of the situation is that we haven't skipped a beat. In fact, our inventory levels, our supply chain, our distribution model has been fantastic. Now, there was a little bit of time in there where we were a bit worried because the designation of a essential business was a little bit vague at the time. But we ended up being really, really well positioned because we didn't skip a beat, and we haven't today. In fact, we've gotten lots of phone calls on some last minute projects that are needed that have large supply amounts, and we're ready to respond, and we're able to deliver. And so, we hope to see some of those projects come through now. But so from the supply chain, our back office operations, my president, Brian McLean, he's our president and COO. He's just done a phenomenal job. His team has done a phenomenal job. And, customer service, order entry, all of that has not skipped a beat, even though everybody had to transition from working in the office to home. And so from that perspective, phenomenal, great test of our continuity plan and resilient work ethic from everybody. So that's been really good. Now the move to technology and trying to not go bananas by sitting here in the office. In fact, I'm so used to being out, and you're home all the time, which I think a lot of us who travel for for business all the time would always say, God, we'd love to sleep in our own bed. It's amazing how soon you're looking at your watch, waiting for the next opportunity to get out and start seeing people face to face, because this is a people business. We want to be in front of people. We want to work side by side with our fellow colleagues and be in front of clients and solving problems all the time, not sitting in the office all the time. So, for some of us, I think it's a difficult transition in that way, even though, we're used to working at home. It's just now that you can't go somewhere, all you want to do is go somewhere.
I joked with my wife last night. I said, honey, I love you, but I really want to eat lunch with someone I'm not related to.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy my kids, but holy cow, we've had every meal together for the last 5 weeks. But
I really enjoyed it in many ways, and then I kind of try to remind everybody, it's like, just make sure, you're present at home with your family, because this time is very unique, and it may not, when everything goes back and changes, it may not be that way anymore. We're going to be trying to ramp up again, but yeah, I'm appreciating the time that I'm home, but I'm also, jonesing to get out, and I got a lot of things to do, and I've got a lot of people that I want to go meet and spend time with, and we all joke back and forth on email about it. It's like, when this, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, and it's like, okay, well, we're just waiting to get be able to get out and go.
Sure. So once we get through this COVID-19 epidemic, what is it in the next 6 months that you can talk about that excites you about Pelco, about what's coming down the pipe in the next 6 to 12 months even?
Yeah. So I would say that, we're getting ready to release, different versions of our software. So I think that, that's exciting. We got a lot of new products coming to the table, but I would tell you that I think the number one thing that excites me the most is being able to get out in front of some of our clients and people that we want to be our clients. And we had a really good run going and schedules to get out and see a ton of people and tell the story and ideate around some of their issues and challenges. And they all got canceled, right? And now we're still communicating with those people today, and we're trying to think of other creative ways to talk about the situations, but there's no replacement for going in and sitting next to that command center operator, that investigator, that surveillance manager, those leaders in their organization to really see what they're doing and what they're challenged with. And so what I'm most excited to do in the next 9 months, 12 months is we've geared up some folks within our organization led by Stuart Rawling, who's a longtime Pelco person, to lead our technology and customer engagement. And we are going to really work hard to try to schedule these technology and operational workshops with clients so that we can really, dig much deeper into how do you use your solution today? What do you use it for? What are the compliance regulations and audit regulations that you're having to deal with? And really talk through it, because we just started scratching the surface of it prior to COVID. And it's really created a lot of great ideas for our roadmap already. And we just scratched the surface of it. So I'm super excited to try to get back out there with Stuart's team, with you and your team, and really get in front of those end users to start that process, because it's not something you just do once. It's a fundamental process that you follow. And at the end of the day, when you're all done with those things, it really binds you close to your relationship with your client. But more importantly, the feedback we get, it's vital to our roadmap, right? And the things that we want to go build.
So you're not just talking about, hey, what can we do better with this product, but really digging into the nuts and bolts with end users and understanding how are you using our product? What can we do to make it better? Kind of just understanding what their day-to-day is.
Yeah, and I think, we bring a lot of key expertise to them as well, right? So we've got this gigantic list of end users today in every vertical market. And a lot of those things, what's common is they all have very similar risk issues. They all have similar cost constraints, and they all have similar compliance regulations that they need to adhere to. And if you base yourself on those three fundamental things, it's a lot easier to identify how the processes and how the policies are followed. And what that does is it creates this gap analysis around, whether it's something we're doing wrong in our product, whether we need to enhance something, develop something, or we need to go find a technology partner to partner with, right? And bring that solution to the client so that we could solve the greater business problem. And I think, I always have this build, partner, buy strategy. And so it's like, I don't have to build everything because I'm not great at everything, right? But there are phenomenal, technology partners out there that we can bring to bear and create a solution for the client to fill that gap. And maybe when we first started that meeting, the client wasn't even aware that was a gap. Maybe it was just a pain point that they figured out a way to manage through, but it's not really good or right, but it's just something that they've always done. And when you shine a light on that and you tie it to how it enforces either their risk profile or reduces their risk profile, or it helps them ensure compliance requirements, and you save them a ton of time in efficiencies, all of a sudden that becomes a compelling solution.
Now, Kurt, is there anything we're missing from the Pelco message that you want to tell people to help, one, bring them over to the blue side, as I like to call it, and
right.
Two, to mitigate any uncertainty that somebody might still have?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I'll say is that we're not getting the Pelco jet. That's the first question everybody asks me. Is like, yeah, when are you getting the jet back? So I can't do that. But I think that, I don't necessarily know. I think that what's missing, I think the message is that, people will hear the message. They need to see the results. And it's teams like yours that are going to help go show them that difference. And it's when they call and have an issue, How responsive are we? How flexible are we? How speed, what's the speed like when they need something and we're able to resolve it? I think those are the fundamental things that I just want people to really understand. That's what we're working hard to fix. And then as you see some of our new products come out, people, that'll prove itself, right? People will see the new products that are coming out and they'll like them. They're going to be as good or better or whatever. They're going to be very competitive in the market. But I think for us, it's how we apply those solutions to those clients' problems and really help consult them, teach them something maybe new that they're not thinking of today, and really understand how to solve their problem and connect with them in a meaningful way, both at the consultant level, the dealer and integrator level, and at the end user level. And all three of those, if we do our job right, we're going to win over that trust. It's just a matter of time, and it's a matter of execution. And I know that everybody within the organization of Pelco is committed to that. So I'm super excited. I'm very passionate about this change that we're making. We've seen some great people leave great jobs to come here to be a part of this change and leading Pelco into a new era. And I see lots of other technology partners reaching out to me and looking for ways that we can have a compelling relationship to drive something great to the market. And we have some really cool creative things that we're doing in the background that I can't quite talk about just yet. But we are working on really just being that go-to company that people can trust and get great customer service, great tech support, great response. And then in time, we'll start being able to show them some of the cool technology things that we're working on.
Well, I'll tell you, Kurt, before this podcast, I was excited, but now I'm like ready to rip doors off and, hey, let's go talk to people and show some stuff.
That's right.
Well, I've had enough talking about Pelco for now. I want to get to my favorite part and put you on the hot seat with Cohee's 14 fun questions. Why 14? Because that's how many I wrote down. So if you're ready,
I'm ready.
Let's get under the hood there and see what makes Kurt tick. Kurt,
right.
How long have you been in the security industry?
25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
As my dad would say, I got wingtips older than that. How did you get in the security industry?
Well, I just happened into it, quite frankly. It was some buddies of mine in college, fraternity brothers of mine that graduated a year earlier and went to go work for this company called Sensormatic, right? It's the tags that you see on clothes so you can't steal them. And as I was getting ready to graduate, they're like, hey, why don't you come work with us? It'll be fun. And so shortly, right before I graduated, I went down, had an interview, got hired, and that was my first job out of college and how I got in the security industry, and I've yet to leave. So it's been fun.
Isn't it interesting how this industry just sucks you in? And I've been in 15 years now. It's like once you get in, you can't get out.
Yeah.
And it's the same 50 people. We just rotate. It's like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, it was funny. I went to breakfast with my family. I took them out we went to LA and we drove through Melrose. And I was trying to tell my kids, I'm like, this is where I got my start. I said, imagine just grabbing a bunch of business cards and a bunch of, ugly brochures and just walking up and down the street, going into every single business, trying to sell them either video cameras or EAS solutions. And we pointed out some of those things and we're like, yeah, I think, that's still there from 25 years ago.
Wow. That's awesome. 25 years ago, security was a Smith & Wesson and a German Shepherd, right?
For those of you who remember, it was the T160 VHS tapes. That was the key.
Wow. That's awesome. What city were you born in?
Whittier, California. It's right here in Southern California, Orange County area.
Okay. And I know you've probably been all over the world. Favorite city to travel to?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, I have a lot of favorite cities. I think, I love going to New York and I love London. And so probably between the two of those is, you got, great atmosphere. It's a lively area, a lot of great history and phenomenal food. So probably those two are my favorite.
Well, that leads us right to our next question. Favorite food?
So I love all food. There might not be any food that I don't like, quite frankly, which is probably not good for my weight. But my favorite food, obviously, I think my go-to is always probably Japanese food. Shocker.
We're not talking like Japanese steakhouse, right?
Well, that too. That's good too. But yeah, traditional Japanese food is good. I love going to a good Japanese restaurant. I could eat pretty much anything on the menu.
Once we're let out of our fortress of solitudes, I'll take you up on that. I would love to try some good Japanese food. Favorite restaurant?
So recently, my business development head of business development, Michael Schlageter, who you know, took me to a restaurant in New York City that blew me away. It was called Naseret. I think that's how it's pronounced. And it was in New York City. It was an incredible steakhouse. Just the entire experience was just phenomenal. Food was great. And probably that's probably one of my favorite places to go. I can't wait to go back.
Cool. So I know you've been in the industry 25 years and had a bunch of different positions, but what profession would you like to try?
Yeah. So I've always dreamed of being a Pop Warner football coach. Like 9, 10-year-olds right around, maybe their second, third year playing. If I could do anything and I was retired tomorrow, that's probably something that I would love to do.
That is cool. That is a first. That's awesome. What profession would you hate?
Yeah, so I wouldn't want to be a politician. Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
I wouldn't want to do that. I think if there was anything, that's definitely being a politician, definitely.
All right. What's your favorite word?
So I don't know if I have a favorite word, but I know that I get called out a lot for saying this most common word, and I say awesome a lot. So people typically say, you must be from California.
That's awesome. I say that a bunch myself. That's too funny. What's your least favorite word?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I
can take that.
Yeah.
When you're not working, what could we find you doing?
Probably, because I travel so much, I'm always gone, running around. When I'm not out and about and working, I'm trying to spend as much time as I can with my family. So I've got 3 kids. One of them obviously is at Ohio State. I've got another daughter who's graduating this year, and she's going to go to University of Oregon. And I got a son who's a freshman, and I got to tell you, a freshman in high school. I just can't believe that time has moved so fast. It just seems like yesterday that they were little. So.
Well, if he gets a Clemson T-shirt in the mail or some brochures, I don't know where they came from. But I got a few years to work on that. Perfect. Yeah. What's your favorite sport?
So I would say my favorite sport is probably surfing, what I like to do. I don't get that much time to do it anymore, but that's probably my favorite sport to actually do. But my favorite sport to probably watch is, probably college football, and then I'm a big Laker fan, so I love watching the Lakers play.
All right. So if I made you the sports czar over college football and you could change one thing, what would it be?
Playoffs. More playoffs.
God, why is Jim Morris Sr. going through my head right now? Playoffs.
I'd like to see an expanded playoff. That's why I think college basketball is so good, right? The tournament is awesome. Now, I obviously can't play that many games, but
you're just a Pac-12 fan and you want to be in it. I get it. It's all good. Well, Kurt, this has been awesome, and we're down to our last question. If heaven exists, what do you want to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gate?
Well done. That's it. That'd be good for me.
Direct and to the point. Well, as for me, Kurt, I want to hear him say, "That'll do, pig. That'll do."
Very
And
similar.
as far as this podcast, that'll do, Kurt. That'll do. Hey, so if people want to find more information about Pelco and what's happening and all, what's the best way to get to Pelco? Is it the website?
Yeah, just go to the website, www.pelco.com. We'll actually be refreshing that website here in a couple of months. So you'll see a whole new look and feel to the website coming out real soon. And it's probably the best way to get any information or contact your local salesperson. And I know that we launch out like I think a weekly newsletter out, or a monthly newsletter that goes out as well. So, but probably the website would be the best place to go.
Awesome. Well, Kurt, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the podcast today. Well, as for me, I am officially out of coffee. So until next time, I'll take mine with cream and sugar.
Thanks for checking out the podcast today. Special thanks to Kurt Takahashi from Pelco. If you would like more information on Pelco, check out their website at www.pelco.com or reach out to your local HWP rep. Tell us what you think about the podcast. If you like it, give us 5 stars. If you don't like it, give us 5 stars anyway, because you're good people. Let us know what topics you'd like us to cover and who you'd like us to interview. You can contact us at coffeewithkohi@hwpco.com. Thanks, and have a great day.